How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Tombstone's Takes. I'm Tombstone. Yes, even my mother-in-law calls me Tombstone. I'm a librarian, and tonight I've got a librarian confession for you. Sometimes I struggle. No, not sometimes. There's no sometimes about it. I always struggle reading reviews of books, and I try not to read reviews of books before I actually read a book. Now, I'll read reviews, but oftentimes when I read the reviews, it's after I'm done with the book and I've formulated my own opinion. I struggle to read reviews before I've read a book for a couple of reasons. The first being is that I feel that I want to go into a story without any preconceived notions, without any ideas on whether or not I'll like it. Oftentimes, I have friends who might know my taste, but how does some reviewer like me, when I review books for you, how do I know what your tastes are? How do I know what you might like? Studies show that what people want in the next book they read, the biggest factor in choosing the next book that they read often comes from the fact that they want to replicate the last experience that they had with a really good book. That could end up being a number of factors. It could be the characters, it could be the adventure, it could be the mystery, it could be the romance, it could be any number, it could be the prose, it could be not just the prose, but it could be the point of view. There are a number of factors that play in. It could be partially the genre. But any of those things might play into what's going to make a book good for someone or not. Now, if I don't ask the right questions of myself, or if I'm helping somebody else to get down to what the nitty-gritty is for how to choose the next book, it's going to be hard to understand just from a review. See, the thing about reviews is that it's hard to extrapolate something that's helpful for somebody else other than, oh, I liked the book. We can all tell you what's wrong with the book or what we didn't like about it. Those things are, well, I say we all. Sometimes people struggle to say, oh, I didn't like it and I'm not sure why. But also, oftentimes it's even harder to say, I loved it and this is the reason why. You can give a blanket statement, I love the characters, but what was it that you loved about the characters? How did those characters make you feel? Because that's the most important thing in reading a book. People want to take away an emotional experience from it. People love their books. If you look at any fandom, if you look at especially of books, people take ownership of their fandom. People take ownership of the book. If you happen to be slightly critical of someone else's book, even if you might love the book almost as much as that person, or even more than another person. But if that person feels that you're slighting their book because they took ownership of it, they might have hurt feelings, or they might think that you don't like the book. They might misconstrue what you're trying to say. There are a lot of factors that play into it. Now, I'll be the first person to say that sometimes I have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun teasing about certain aspects of books. Now, I never do it in a sense to demean any authors or people who like those books, but sometimes I might find a premise ridiculous. For instance, I just reviewed Carry On Comfort by Dan Simmons. And for years before I read that book, I thought that the premise that I had heard about, mind vampires, I thought that was one of the stupidest things I'd ever heard. What was a mind vampire? What does a mind vampire feast on? The mind isn't a brain. So what is it that they're feasting on? What is it that they do? Man, I just didn't want to read it. But yet when I finally just sat down and opened the book and started reading it, I found myself really engaged in the book, and I find it highly disturbing and frightening, and it was fun to read and get through. And I felt like the characters, there was no chance for them. And I enjoyed their journey. But the problem goes back to this idea that I was tainted before I went in. In that case, I was tainted by the premise. Sometimes with reviews, if I read them beforehand, somebody might say, oh, I didn't like this because of X reason. And that might not, their reason might not be anything that aligns with any value system that I have. And sometimes my value system doesn't align with theirs. And so it can make it hard to give somebody something helpful to read. I mean, when it comes to actually doing a review. So there's my confession. I hope that made a little bit of sense. I do typically just open up a book and read. That's how I choose my book. I'll see a cover, a title, maybe an author I've read before, and I'll grab the book, I'll open it up, I'll start reading. If the magic's in there in the book, it'll capture me and I'll keep going. And then I'll listen to the reviews or read them afterwards. So there's my little confession. I do reviews on this channel. And so I will always try and give you something helpful, something beyond, oh, I love the book and the premise. And that's something that I find hard for reading reviews or listening to reviews too. I often find that people just say, oh, I absolutely love this book. And they'll give me the cover jacket premise. And to me, that's not helpful. Okay, so what if you love the book? That doesn't mean I'm going to love the book. It doesn't tell me what you love about the book. So I find those statements a little bit vague and not very helpful. So I'll always try and tell you reasons when I review a book on what I like. Now, that's not to say that they're doing reviews wrong or bad. It's just something that I found hasn't helped me choose a book. Well, there's my confession for the night. Hope you enjoy what we do. Tell me if you like reviews. Tell me what you like about reviews. Tell me if you use reviews before or after, or both. Tell me if reviews help you find community for the books that you read. Like I said, loving a book and being a fan of something is taking ownership of it. It's taking ownership of this sublime experience that you had as a reader and wanting other people to engage with it. There's nothing better, I think, in a reading community than wanting or having the desire to have a friend read a book and love it, because then you can share in something special together and you can talk about it and you can make connections in a community that way. And that's totally awesome. And I do hope that at times, that people will read the same books that I do and like them. Or I hope that I can suggest books to other people. Now, the thing about that for me is that, you know what? Sometimes a friend might come to me and say, hey, I just really loved this book and I want you to read it because I want you to engage in the same experience that I had. Now, if a friend said that to me, I would absolutely read that book. Having said that, again, I thought I was going to end, but now I've been going on this rant and this rave for a bit. I hope it makes sense. It's totally unscripted tonight. A lot of things I do sometimes are, but I like to get my thoughts out, and I hope that you enjoy it. Tell me, like you said, what your ideas about reviews are. Are they helpful or not? Tell me what you think in the comments. If you like what I do, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.